The palace of the Zerithian Empire was one of the most powerful places in the galaxy. Thousands of alien civilizations respected it. Many feared it. The Empire had ruled large parts of the galaxy for more than 3,000 years. Their fleets were massive. Their armies were unstoppable. Their technology was far beyond most other species, and their queen was known across the stars. Queen Valeria, a ruler who was calm, powerful, and feared by every enemy of the Empire. Inside the royal palace, thousands of alien nobles, soldiers, and advisors had gathered in the grand hall. The hall was enormous. Its ceiling was so high that it looked like a sky full of glowing stars. The floor was made from smooth crystal stone that reflected the light of floating blue lamps. Huge pillars shaped like ancient alien warriors stood along the walls. At the far end of the hall stood the royal throne. It was tall and beautiful, made from dark metal and glowing crystal. Queen Valeria sat on that throne watching everything with calm, glowing eyes. She was tall, elegant, and powerful. Her armor looked like living silver and her crown shined like starlight. But today something strange had happened, something that made the entire palace nervous. The queen had just received a message. Her daughter Princess Lyra had returned. This news alone should have been joyful, but the message that came with it was strange, very strange. The message said the princess was not alone. She was bringing someone with her, someone unexpected, someone impossible, a human. The word spread through the palace like fire. A human. Many aliens whispered the word like it was something dangerous. Humans were known across the galaxy, but they were not respected by the great empires. They were seen as a young species, a species that was brave but reckless, strong but primitive. Many aliens believed humans were unpredictable, and unpredictable beings were dangerous. So when the palace heard that a human was entering the royal palace, many guards immediately took positions. Rows of royal soldiers stood ready with glowing energy weapons. Alien nobles gathered along the balconies, watching the entrance doors carefully. The grand doors of the palace were enormous, tall enough for giant alien war beasts to walk through. And now those doors slowly began to open. A deep sound echoed through the hall. Every head turned toward the entrance. Two royal guards walked inside. First, behind them came Princess Lyra. She was known across the empire for her intelligence and bravery. Her armor was damaged. Small marks of battle could still be seen on it. Her long silver hair moved softly as she walked forward. Many nobles were surprised to see her looking tired, but what shocked them the most was the person walking beside her, a human. He was tall, but not as tall as the alien soldiers around him. He wore dark human armor that looked scratched from battle. His face was calm. His eyes moved carefully around the hall. His name was Daniel Hayes, but no one in the palace knew that. Yet as the princess walked forward, the guards slowly surrounded them. Energy weapons quietly aimed at the human. The hall filled with whispers. Why was a human here? How did a human enter the royal palace? This had never happened before. The princess kept walking toward the throne, and the human walked beside her, but then something happened that made the entire palace freeze. Princess Lyra gently held the human hand. The moment was small, quiet but powerful. Hundreds of alien nobles stared in shock. Some soldiers looked confused. Others looked angry. A princess of the Zerithian Empire holding the hand of a human. This was something no one had ever seen before. The whispering slowly stopped. The grand hall became completely silent. Queen Valeria watched everything from her throne. Her glowing eyes focused on one thing, the human hand holding her daughter's hand. For several seconds, the queen did not move. The silence inside the palace became heavy. Even the royal guards did not move. Daniel felt hundreds of alien eyes watching him, but he did not pull his hand away. Princess Lyra also did not release his hand. She kept walking toward the throne calmly. Step by step, the distance between them and the queen slowly became smaller. Finally, they stopped in the center of the hall. The queen slowly stood up from her throne. The movement was calm but powerful. The sound of her armor echoed softly across the hall. Every alien in the palace lowered their heads slightly, because when the queen stood, everyone listened. Her glowing eyes looked directly at the human, then at her daughter, then again at their hands. For a moment, the queen said nothing, but the silence itself felt like pressure, like a storm waiting to begin. Finally, the queen spoke. Her voice was calm, deep, and powerful. The sound echoed across the massive hall, explained just one word, but that word carried the authority of an empire. Princess Lyra stepped forward slightly. She still held the human hand. Many guards tightened their grip on their weapons. The princess looked at the queen. Then she spoke, "Mother, this human saved my life. The entire palace exploded with whispers, "Save the princess, a human." Impossible. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. She looked again at the human, studying him carefully. Daniel stood calmly, even though hundreds of weapons were pointed at him. The queen slowly stepped down from her throne. Each step echoed across the silent hall. When she reached the bottom step, she stopped, her eyes never leaving the human. Finally, she asked the question that everyone in the palace wanted to hear. "Why is a human standing in my palace?" The hall became silent again. Every alien waited for the answer. Princess Lyra took a slow breath and said, "Because without him, I would never have returned home." And the moment those words were spoken, the future of humans and the Zarithian Empire quietly began to change. The grand hall of the Zarithian palace remained silent after the princess' words. Many alien nobles stared at the human with disbelief. A human saving the daughter of the queen sounded impossible for centuries. The empire had believed humans were reckless creatures who caused chaos wherever they traveled. But the princess had just said the opposite. She said a human had saved her life. The royal guard slowly moved closer around Daniel, their weapons still pointed at him. They were waiting for a single command from the queen. One order, and the human would not leave the hall alive. Queen Valeria stood at the bottom of the throne steps, watching the scene carefully. Her glowing eyes moved slowly from the princess to the human. Her voice finally broke the silence again. "You claim this human saved you?" Princess Lyra nodded calmly. "Yes, mother." The queen looked at Daniel again. Her gaze was sharp and powerful. Many warriors would feel fear under that stare. But Daniel remained still. His face showed no panic. This made several nobles whisper again. The queen spoke again. "Tell me how." The princess took a step forward. The hall remained silent as she began speaking. 3 cycles ago, my ship was traveling through the outer systems. The mission was simple. She had been visiting one of the smaller allied colonies. Her escorts included 3 imperial cruisers. No one expected danger, but danger found them. Suddenly, a fleet of raider ships appeared from hyperspace. They were the Korthan pirates, a brutal group known across the outer systems. They attacked without warning. The escort cruisers fought bravely, but the pirate ships were too many. Explosions filled the darkness of space. The princess ship was damaged. Many of her crew were injured. The pirates eventually boarded the vessel they captured. The princess alive. Many nobles in the palace gasped hearing this. The queen's face remained calm, but her eyes grew colder. The princess continued speaking. The pirates planned to sell her to enemies of the empire or demand a massive ransom. For days, the pirates traveled through empty space with their prisoner. The princess ship drifted damaged behind them. No one from the empire knew where she was. No rescue fleet was coming. Many believed she was already dead. The princess' voice became softer until a small ship appeared on their scanners. The pirates first thought it was a traitor, but it was not. It was a human ship. The hall filled with quiet murmurs again. A human ship alone in pirate territory. The pirates laughed when they saw it. One small human cruiser against a pirate fleet. It looked like suicide, but the human ship did not run. Instead, it attacked. The princess described the moment clearly. The human cruiser fired everything it had: missiles, lasers, rail cannons. The pirate ships were caught by surprise. 2 pirate vessels were destroyed within seconds. The pirates became angry and surrounded the human ship. Yet the human ship kept fighting even when its shields failed. Even when its hull was damaged, it kept attacking. Finally, the human ship forced the pirate flagship to retreat. But that was not the end. A single human shuttle launched from the cruiser. The shuttle flew directly toward the pirate ship that held the princess. Many nobles leaned forward, hearing this. No one could believe what they were hearing. The shuttle docked with the pirate ship. Inside that shuttle was one person, the human standing in the hall, Daniel Hayes. He entered the pirate ship alone. Princess Lyra looked at Daniel for a moment before continuing. The pirates were confused. They expected soldiers, but only one human appeared. Daniel moved through the ship like a storm. He fought pirates in the corridors. He disabled security doors. He freed captured crew members. And finally, he reached the cell where the princess was being held. The palace hall had become completely silent again. Even the royal guards were listening carefully. Now the princess continued. When he opened the cell door, he did not bow. He did not act afraid. He simply said, "We need to leave, now." The princess smiled slightly. Remembering that moment, he helped her escape the pirate ship. Together they reached the shuttle, but the pirates were already chasing them. The human cruiser returned to protect them. Another battle began in space. This time, the pirates finally retreated. The human ship was badly damaged, but the princess was safe. The hall remained quiet for several long seconds. Queen Valoria slowly looked back at Daniel, the human who had walked into the palace surrounded by enemies. You fought pirates alone. Daniel nodded slightly, yes. The queen studied him again. Why? The question echoed across the hall. Why would a human risk his life for an alien princess? Many nobles waited for a complex answer. Maybe politics, maybe money, maybe some hidden plan. But Daniel's answer was simple: because someone needed help. The hall fell silent again. Some nobles looked confused. Others looked thoughtful. The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. She stepped closer to the human until she stood only a few steps away. The guards around them remained tense. The queen spoke again slowly. Humans are known for violence and chaos. Why should I believe you are different? Daniel looked directly at the queen. Judge me by what I did, not by what you heard. The queen did not answer immediately. The silence in the palace became heavy again. Then suddenly, something unexpected happened. A loud alarm sound echoed through the hall entrance. Several guards turned quickly. A prisoner transport had arrived at the palace gates. Inside was one of the captured Cortan pirates, the same pirates who attacked the princess ship. The queen slowly turned toward the guards. Bring the pirate here. The guards obeyed instantly. They dragged the chained pirate into the grand hall. The pirate looked angry and dangerous. His eyes quickly spotted the princess. Then he noticed Daniel. A cruel smile appeared on the pirate face. The queen looked at Daniel again. If your story is true, prove it. And the entire palace waited to see what the human would do next, because this moment would decide whether the human was a hero or an enemy of the empire. The captured pirate stood in the middle of the royal hall, surrounded by guards. Heavy chains held his arms, but his eyes still burned with anger. Many nobles watched him with hatred. The Cortan pirates had attacked many worlds in the outer systems. They destroyed colonies and stole ships, and now one of them was standing inside the most powerful palace in the empire. Queen Valeria looked at the pirate with cold eyes. Then she slowly turned her gaze toward the human Daniel Hayes, the human who claimed he had fought pirates alone. The queen voice echoed across the hall. You say this pirate fleet attacked the princess? Lyra nodded yes. Mother, the queen looked at the pirate. The pirate laughed quietly. His voice was rough and mocking. The princess ship was weak. Her guards were weak. We would have sold her for a fortune. Many alien nobles became angry hearing this. Some guards tightened their grip on their weapons. But the queen raised one hand, and the hall became silent again. Her glowing eyes turned toward Daniel. This pirate was there. He knows what happened. The queen stepped closer to the pirate. Tell the truth. Did this human attack your ship alone? The pirate looked at Daniel again. Then he laughed louder. Yes. The hall reacted with surprise. The pirate continued speaking. One human came like a mad storm. He destroyed our doors and attacked everyone. Many of my crew died because of him. The pirate's eyes narrowed with anger. I should have killed him when I had the chance. The queen listened quietly. The pirate then turned his head toward Daniel again. You were lucky, human, but luck does not last forever. The pirate suddenly stopped speaking. For a moment, he looked calm, but then something unexpected happened. With a sudden movement, he broke one of the chains on his arm. The alien was stronger than most species. The guards reacted, but the pirate moved fast. He grabbed a fallen weapon from the floor. The weapon glowed with dangerous energy. The entire hall exploded. With alarm, guards shouted orders. Energy weapons began charging. But the pirate did not aim at the guards. He aimed at the princess. Everything happened in only a second. The pirate shouted in anger. If I die, the princess dies with me. Many nobles screamed in shock. The guards tried to fire, but the princess stood too close. If they fired, they might hit her. For one small moment, the entire hall froze again. But one person moved. Daniel, without hesitation. He stepped forward. He pushed the princess aside with his arm. The pirate weapon fired the blast shot across the hall and struck one of the crystal pillars. The explosion filled the room with light. Daniel tackled the pirate before he could fire again. Both of them crashed onto the floor. The pirate was strong, very strong. He tried to push the human away, but Daniel held him tightly. The pirate tried to reach the weapon again. Daniel grabbed the pirate arm and twisted it. A loud crack echoed. The weapon fell away. The pirate roared in pain. The guards rushed forward, but Daniel was already fighting. The pirate punched him across the face. Daniel fell back for a moment. Blood appeared on his lip. Many nobles watched in shock. A human fighting a Cortan pirate inside the royal palace. The pirate jumped toward the weapon again. But Daniel moved faster. He kicked the weapon across the floor. Then he tackled the pirate again. The two fighters rolled across the crystal floor. Finally, Daniel struck the pirate hard across the head. The pirate collapsed unconscious. The entire hall became silent again. Guards quickly secured the pirate and locked stronger chains around him. Daniel slowly stood up. His armor was scratched. His face showed signs of the fight, but he remained standing. Princess Lyra ran toward him. "Are you hurt?" Daniel shook his head just a little. The princess looked relieved. Many nobles whispered quietly to each other. They had just seen the human protect the princess without hesitation. Queen Valeria had watched everything. She had not moved during the fight. Her glowing eyes studied the human carefully. Daniel turned toward the queen. The hall was silent again. Every alien waited to see what the queen would say. Queen Valeria slowly walked toward the center of the hall. Her armor echoed softly on the crystal floor. She stopped only a few steps away from Daniel. For several seconds, she said nothing. She simply observed him. "You protected the princess?" Daniel nodded once. "Yes," the queen spoke again. "You knew you could die?" Daniel answered calmly. "That was possible." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly. Why would a human risk his life for someone not even from his species? Many nobles waited for a complicated explanation, but Daniel's answer was simple again because it was the right thing to do. The hall became quiet once more. Some nobles looked confused. Others looked thoughtful. The queen slowly turned away from Daniel and looked at the palace crowd. "For centuries, we believed humans were dangerous creatures, uncontrolled and reckless." Her voice echoed across the hall. "Yet today a human risked his life for my daughter." She looked back at Daniel and protected her again inside my own palace. The queen remained silent for a moment. The entire empire seemed to be holding its breath because the next words from the queen could change everything. And deep inside the hall, many nobles began to realize something. The story of humans might have been wrong all along. The grand hall of the palace remained silent. After the fight, the pirate was now chained tightly and surrounded by guards, but no one was looking at the pirate anymore. Every eye in the hall was now focused on one person, the human Daniel Hayes. He stood in the middle of the hall, breathing slowly after the fight. Small marks of the battle could be seen on his armor. A thin line of blood was visible near his lip, but he remained calm. Princess Lyra stood beside him. She had not released his hand again. Many nobles noticed this and whispered quietly. A princess of the empire holding the hand of a human. It was something the galaxy had never seen before. Queen Valeria stood a few steps away, watching them both. Her glowing eyes studied the human carefully. She had ruled the empire for many years. She had seen thousands of warriors, thousands of leaders, thousands of enemies. But this human was different. He did not bow. He did not beg. He did not show fear. Even after standing in the center of a palace filled with enemies, the queen slowly walked around him. Her long silver armor moved softly with each step. The hall remained completely silent. Every noble knew the queen was thinking. Finally, she stopped in front of Daniel again. Her voice was calm but powerful. "Human, what is your name?" Daniel answered simply, "Daniel Hayes." The queen repeated the name slowly. Daniel Hayes. The name sounded strange in the alien language. The queen looked into his eyes. Many warriors would look down in that moment, but Daniel did not. He stood respectfully but confidently. The queen spoke again. "Your species is known across the galaxy, but not with respect. Many believe humans bring chaos wherever they go. Many believe humans cannot be trusted." The queen paused for a moment. Then she continued, "Yet today, I watched a human risk his life twice, for my daughter first against pirates." And then inside my own palace, the queen turned toward Princess Lyra. Her voice softened slightly. "Is everything you said true?" Princess Lyra nodded. "Every word, mother. The human saved my life, and he never asked for anything in return." The queen looked back at Daniel. "You never asked for reward?" Daniel shook his head. "No." The queen seemed curious. "Most beings in this galaxy would demand a reward for saving a princess." Daniel answered quietly, "I did not save her because she is a princess." The hall became even quieter. The queen raised one eyebrow slightly. Then why? Daniel looked at Princess Lyra for a brief moment, then back at the queen. "Because she needed help." The simplicity of the answer surprised many nobles. Some expected a speech. Others expected a political reason, but the human had given a simple answer again. The queen turned slowly and began walking back toward her throne. The hall remained silent. Her voice echoed as she walked. "For centuries, The Zerithian Empire believed humans were unpredictable, dangerous, reckless. She stopped halfway to the throne. Yet what I saw today does not match those beliefs. Some nobles shifted uncomfortably. Changing the opinion of the empire was not a small matter. The queen turned again toward the hall. Tell me, human, if the situation were different. If my daughter was not a princess, if she was just another traveler in danger, would you still have helped her? Daniel answered without hesitation, yes. Why? Because that is what humans do. Many nobles whispered again, some with curiosity, some with doubt. The queen looked at him carefully again. What do humans gain from helping strangers? Daniel thought for a moment. Then he answered, sometimes nothing, but sometimes doing the right thing is enough. The hall became quiet once more. The queen slowly returned to her throne. She sat down and looked across the massive hall. Many powerful nobles were watching her carefully. Some supported humans, many did not. The queen knew this decision would shape the future of the empire. Finally, she spoke again. The empire has long judged humanity without truly understanding them. Her voice echoed across the palace walls. Today we have seen something different. A human who fought pirates alone. A human who protected the princess without hesitation. And a human who stood calmly inside a hall full of enemies. The queen looked down at Daniel from the throne. Many rulers might see danger in such courage, but I see something else. Respect. The word spread through the hall like quiet thunder. Respect for a human. This was something the empire had never heard before. Princess Lyra smiled slightly. But many nobles looked worried, because if the queen respected humans, the politics of the empire could change. The queen continued speaking. Daniel Hayes stepped forward. Daniel walked a few steps closer to the throne. The guards watched carefully but did not stop him. The queen studied him one last time. The empire owes you a debt for protecting the princess. She paused briefly. How would a human ask to be rewarded? The hall waited for the answer. Many nobles expected the human to ask for wealth or technology or protection for his people. But Daniel surprised everyone again. I do not need a reward. The hall filled with whispers again. The queen asked nothing. Daniel shook his head. Helping someone in danger is not something that needs payment. The queen leaned slightly forward on her throne. You are an unusual human, Daniel Hayes. For a moment, she remained silent. Then she spoke again. Perhaps the empire has misunderstood humanity for too long. The hall became completely still because the queen's next words could change the future of two civilizations. And somewhere among the watching nobles, a quiet fear appeared. Because if humans and the empire became allies, the balance of power in the galaxy would change forever. The royal palace remained silent after the queen's words. Many nobles stood frozen in their places. Some looked shocked, others looked worried. A few even looked angry. For centuries, the Zerithian Empire had believed humans were dangerous and unpredictable. Now the queen herself was questioning those beliefs. And when the queen questioned something, the entire empire listened. Queen Valeria sat calmly on her throne. Her glowing eyes slowly moved across the grand hall. She could see the reactions of every noble. Some were whispering to each other, some were watching the human carefully, and some were watching the princess. Princess Lyra still stood beside Daniel, and her hand was still holding his. That simple gesture had already shocked the entire palace once, but now it seemed even more meaningful. The queen finally spoke again. For thousands of years, the empire has judged species across the galaxy. We have decided who is friend and who is enemy. Her voice echoed through the hall. But wisdom does not come from pride. Wisdom comes from observation. The queen pointed slightly toward Daniel. Today we observe something important. Many nobles became quiet. The queen continued. A human who crossed dangerous space to rescue someone he did not even know. A human who fought pirates alone. And a human who protected the princess again inside this palace. The queen paused for a moment. Then she spoke more firmly. These actions are not the actions of a chaotic creature. They are the actions of someone with honor. The word honor echoed through the hall. Many nobles exchanged nervous looks. Honor was a powerful word in the empire. The queen looked down at Daniel again. Daniel Hayes, you have shown courage, loyalty, and restraint, qualities respected by the Zerithian Empire. Daniel remained silent. He had not expected this moment. When he first helped the princess, the queen then turned toward the nobles. Yet we must also be careful. One human does not represent an entire species. Some nobles nodded, hearing this. But the queen raised her hand. However, if one human is capable of such honor, perhaps humanity itself deserves another chance to be understood. The hall became quiet again. This time, the silence felt different, not tense, but thoughtful. The queen leaned slightly forward on her throne. For too long, the empire has watched humanity from a distance. We judged them without learning from them. We feared them. Without speaking to them, the queen stood from her throne again. The movement was slow and powerful. Every noble lowered their head slightly. The queen voice echoed across the hall that will change today. Many nobles looked up suddenly. The queen continued from this moment forward. The Zerithian Empire will open diplomatic communication with humanity. The grand hall erupted with shocked whispers. Some nobles looked excited. Others looked very worried. An alliance with humans would change the politics of the galaxy. Some rival empires might see it as a threat. The queen raised her hand again, and the hall slowly became quiet. Daniel Hayes stepped forward. Daniel moved closer to the throne. Princess Lyra followed. Beside him, the queen looked down at him. You came here as a stranger, but you protected the future of this empire. She paused briefly for that reason. The empire owes you gratitude. The queen turned toward the royal advisor standing near the throne. Prepare a message to be sent to the human governments. The advisor bowed slightly. Yes, your majesty. The queen continued speaking. Tell them this today. A human saved the daughter of the Zerithian Empire, and because of that act, we wish to begin a new chapter between our species. The hall grew quiet again. Many nobles were beginning to understand how important this moment was. The queen then looked back at Daniel. There is one more thing. Daniel waited respectfully. The queen's voice became softer but still powerful. My daughter trusts you. Princess Lyra looked slightly surprised. Hearing this, the queen's eyes moved between them. And trust is not given easily in our empire. She studied Daniel, again carefully. Human, Daniel Hayes. You may remain as a guest of the royal palace until the diplomatic council between our species begins. Many nobles gasped quietly. A human living inside the royal palace. This had never happened before. The queen raised her hand once more. This decision is final. No one argued, because when the queen made a decision, it became law. The hall slowly calmed again. Princess Lyra looked at Daniel with a quiet smile. Daniel looked around the enormous palace. Only hours ago, he had been a stranger surrounded by enemies. Now the most powerful queen in the galaxy had offered him protection. The moment felt unreal, but the story was not finished yet. Because something even more surprising was about to happen. Something that would shock the entire palace one more time. The grand hall slowly became quiet again after the queen announcement. Many nobles were still trying to understand what had just happened. A human had walked into the royal palace, fought a pirate, protected the princess, and now the queen herself had invited him to stay as a guest. This was something the empire had never seen before. Daniel stood beside Princess Lyra, looking around the massive hall. The glowing pillars, the floating lights, and the thousands of watching aliens. Only a few days ago, he had been flying alone in deep space. Now he was standing in the heart of the most powerful empire in the galaxy. Princess Lyra looked at him with a small smile. You look surprised. Daniel nodded slightly. This was not part of my plan. The princess laughed softly. Sometimes the universe has strange plans. Their quiet conversation did not go unnoticed. Many nobles were watching them carefully. Some looked curious, others looked suspicious. A few still did not trust the human queen. Valeria noticed all of this from her throne. She had ruled the empire long enough to understand the thoughts of her people. Change was never easy, especially change that involved another species. The queen slowly stood again. Her movement immediately captured the attention of the entire hall. The whispers stopped. Every noble turned toward the throne. The queen's voice echoed across the palace. Today we have witnessed something important. She looked across the grand hall. The galaxy is full of powerful empires. Many believe strength is measured by fleets and weapons, but true strength is measured by courage and honor. Her glowing eyes turned toward Daniel. This human has shown both. The hall remained silent. Many nobles were now listening very carefully. The queen continued. Daniel Hayes crossed dangerous space. Alone he faced pirates without fear. And when danger appeared again inside this palace, he protected the princess. Without hesitation, she paused briefly. These actions show the spirit of humanity. The queen slowly stepped down from her throne again. Each step echoed across the hall. She stopped in front of Daniel and Princess Lyra. For a moment she looked at them both. Then she spoke clearly. Today, the Zerithian Empire recognizes humanity not as a threat, but as a species worthy of respect. A wave of quiet reactions moved through the hall. Respect was not a word the Empire used lightly. Princess Lyra looked proud. Daniel looked slightly uncomfortable with so many eyes on him. The queen then turned to the nobles. Let this moment be remembered. A human came to this palace as a stranger, yet his actions changed the future of two civilizations. The queen raised her hand slightly. From this day forward, the Empire will begin peaceful communication with humanity. Our diplomats will travel to human worlds and human diplomats will be welcomed here. The hall slowly filled with whispers again. This decision would be heard across the entire galaxy. Many other empires would soon learn that the Zerithian Empire had opened its gates to humanity. The balance of power among the stars might change, but the queen was not finished speaking. Yet, she looked back at Daniel. There is something else that must be said. Daniel waited quietly. The queen voice became calm but firm. You did not come here seeking reward. Yet the Empire will not forget what you have done. She turned toward the royal guards. Bring the royal crest. A guard quickly stepped forward carrying a small glowing object. The object looked like a beautiful crystal symbol. The mark of the Empire. The queen took the crest and held it in her hand. This crest is given only to those who have protected the Empire. She stepped closer to Daniel today. A human will receive it. The hall became completely silent again. This had never happened before. Never in the history of the Empire had a human received the royal crest. The queen placed the glowing crest on Daniel's armor. From this moment, you are recognized as a friend of the Zerithian Empire. Daniel looked at the crest for a moment. He had never expected something like this. Princess Lyra smiled warmly. The queen stepped back and looked across the hall. Let the galaxy hear this story. She declared loudly, let them know that courage has no species, honor has no borders. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness can change the future of the stars. The hall remained silent for several seconds. Then slowly, many nobles bowed their heads in respect, not to the queen, but to the human Daniel Hayes, the human who had walked into the palace as a stranger and walked out as the one who changed the future of the Empire far beyond the palace walls. The stars continued shining, unaware that something important had just happened, because the moment the alien queen saw her daughter's hand in the hand of a human, the silence of that palace became the beginning of a new alliance in the galaxy. And the story of that moment would be told across the stars for generations, because sometimes the future of the galaxy begins with one simple act, helping someone in need.